gamers, and welcome to episode 422 of the Super Ultra Podcast Arcade for July 22nd, 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Daniel Nicholson, and with me is my co-host, Dominic Stallworth. What's going on this week, Dominic?
Yeah, man, not much is going on. I mean, we got some news and stuff happening. Well, there's a lot going on, but as far as games go, I mean, we got some stuff. We got some things to talk about. I played some games. I just know I've been hot. I can't wait till the summer's over with now, because now it seems like we're really getting summer weather. Like, we're getting good, man. It was a good May and June, you know? I mean, and now it's just like, okay, now we're going to get hot. And I know in Phoenix, man, it's like real hot. They seem to have like record heat over there. I still don't know why they built a city in the desert, though. I still don't know why that even happened. Like, why they thought, like, hey, let's just start building. Let's just build. It wasn't
that hot back then, Dominic. That's why.
Yeah, man, it must have been. It must have been during the cooler months there, and it was like, hey, this is really nice over here. Let's just start like building society over here. And
it's where they had to stop before the horses died.
But yeah. So let's just get right to it. Sports. O's are tied for first place as of this podcast. They actually were in first place for a day because they beat Tampa Bay, but then Tampa Bay beat them the second game, and it's a 4-game series. So as this podcast, they have 2 more games to play. So hopefully the O's can win them too. Yeah. But I'm glad. Yeah, it's been a fun baseball season. So the O's even being where they are is like more than what I could have dreamed. So yeah, it's like good for those guys. They picked up a relief pitcher, so hopefully that helps them out. They got somebody doing. I don't know who they traded for him though. Must have been like young prospects or something. What else is What else happened? In sports, something else happened. Something else happened in sports. I know Wimbledon happened. I know Djokovic didn't win. Some Spanish dude won. So go Spain, I guess. Damn, I'm trying to think what else happened. Maybe not. Oh, I mean, some things didn't happen. I guess I only have. Yeah, there's really nothing else to really say. So wrestling. Any wrestling news?
The kind of biggest thing is just the lead up to SummerSlam. I believe that might be next weekend, actually. That's happening in Detroit. And kind of the biggest thing going on there is still the whole Roman Reigns, Usos bloodline storyline. Now that the Usos have turned on Roman Reigns and are no longer a part of the bloodline.
It's going to be on Ford Field?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Can be on Ford Field. Yep. So the main event is going to be Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. He is kind of the first guy that Roman fought when Roman started this whole like historic title reign situation. Jey is also the first person to pin Roman in like 1,000+ days or something like that, because during this whole title run, he hasn't lost. But he had a tag match with Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns versus the Usos at the last show at Money in the Bank, and Jey Uso pinned him there. A lot of people saying, they don't expect Jey to win here, but it's going to be a lot of fun regardless. Everybody's still kind of pointing at it being, Cody versus Roman again at WrestleMania next year, with Cody finally winning. We'll see if that's the case. Cody's going to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. That's whatever. I don't know. It's just a match for Cody to win and then finally kind of overcome, because he won the first match, he lost the next match, and this will be the one, kind of to win the series. So that's what's going on there. Over in AEW, they just did their Blood and Guts match, which is basically like their War Games match that WWE does, where you have 2 rings together and just one big like cage around them, and you have like 5-man teams, and they come in at weird intervals and stuff like that. Kind of the big thing coming out of that was Kota Ibushi, who was a big star in New Japan, debuted in AEW. doesn't necessarily seem like he's going to sign. He's a guy that likes to do his own thing, and has basically said as such that he's not really looking to sign a big contract anywhere. He just wants to go around the world and wrestle and do the crazy shit that he does. And he does some crazy shit. So that's cool. I know, I think the last time we talked about it, I was talking a little bit about how now AEW has a Saturday night show, Collision, which is basically, it feels like a segmented off show where like CM Punk can exist because, you know, the stuff between him and the Elite, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega that happened after, I think, Double or Nothing last year. It seems like basically those guys can't be in the same locker room still, whether it be legally or just, you know, as you know, personal feelings go. So basically they ended up with this extra show, and now CM Punk is kind of the headliner of that. So far it's been fine. I haven't really caught too much of it, but it seems like it's kind of, you know, just doing its thing. CM Punk's back in wrestling. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, but that's kind of where wrestling is right now. I'm having trouble keeping up with it. Like I think I told you previously, like, but now with not having cable, everybody just makes it hard to watch like their weekly shows because they have these partnerships with networks. So like even with WWE having Peacock and the WWE network, like their weekly stuff was never on there until like a month later anyway. And AEW has like a contract with Fight TV outside of America. So like technically you can like get a VPN and then get the Fight. I think it's like AEW Plus or something like that. But it's just like so many steps to jump through. Like I would rather just be able to give them like $5 a month and be able to watch their shows when their shows come on. But nobody offers that because they're, you know, trying to get money to the networks, and the networks want to, I don't know if they want to, but they're connected to these cable packages. So if you don't have cable, then, you know, you can't really watch this stuff in any legal and easy way, really, which kind of sucks. So try to catch it when I can, but it's been difficult. So it's kind of where I've been with wrestling.
Okay. So I guess we move on to what we were watching. Like I don't really watch like something like new or worth talking about, I guess. And so Justified has returned. It's a new series, but it is Justified. It is the same lead. This time it's sometime in the future. Well, it's been time in the future from where the show left off. It's still current time, you know. So I don't know how that works out, because like, is it roughly? I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. Don't you shouldn't think about things like that. He just because he has his daughter's older. She's a teenager. She's your typical like teenage girl, though. Like she has attitudes and stuff like that, you know. But it's funny. This takes place in Detroit now, so he's working up there. I know Keith David is in this. Well, he was in it. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but he's in it. He's a judge, and he's funny. There's a lot more black characters than it was in the original show, and I guess because it is in Detroit and it's dealing with basically crime and stuff. So I guess there's gonna be a lot more black people. I guess
Where
it
did
makes
the first
sense.
like the original series take place? Texas?
It took place in Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky, that's what it was.
So it made sense that was mostly white. Is white hillbilly country. There was, like I said, a holler that was mostly black that came in the third season. That's where you saw it, and I love that. That's like one of my favorite seasons, and one of my favorite characters on Limehouse in that show. And this one, it seems like there's going to be a regular lawyer too. She's black, who I've seen before. A lot of these actors I've seen before. I know that one of the bartenders is the guy who was the news reporter in Daredevil. He's in this.
Oh, okay.
And Yeah, it's the show so far. The first episode was good. Like it was good. I really enjoyed it. Uh, and yeah, I hope it like the rest of the season is just as good. Like I always loved Justified because it felt like a modern cowboy show, and it still feels that way. Even though it takes place in Detroit, it still has that same feeling to it. With the show, it's just a different, just a different locale now, and I mean, look, I mean, it's still, I mean, Detroit, Michigan is. I mean, yeah, it's not the South, but it's the Midwest. It's Midwest. It's North Midwest. I mean, like Middle America. So it has a vibe to it also, a certain type of vibe too. So it's still, I still like that. It's somewhere different than what I traditionally see in shows that deal with either cops or crime and stuff like that. That's I don't know any other new shows that's out now. There's a show called Swagger that's on Apple Plus that I have seen like most of the first season of, and it's okay show. It takes place in basically they say the DMV. It takes place in DMV because they even mention it. Like it's in Maryland, Virginia area because they deal with basketball, and I think. See, because I didn't see all of it because my sister's watching it. She's been watching it, so I've been seeing some of it, and so I never got to know if I don't know if this is the high school team or this is the AAU team. Maybe it might be. I think it's the AAU team. Like I don't think they're the part of the school. I'm not. Yeah, it doesn't seem. It didn't seem like it anyway. But it's 2 seasons, and I saw a majority of the first season, and it was good. I enjoyed the show. It was pretty good. And like the lead is Ice Cube's son. He's the the lead, the coach. So I was surprised like how good it was, honestly, because I was really thinking like, man, it looked like something has potential, but when it turned out, I was like, okay, I enjoy this. It just sucks that it's on Apple Plus, that like because only a limited people can really see it. So that's it, basically. Yeah, I was trying to think about, like, what new shows is out. Like, Witcher, I still haven't watched that yet. I'm going to check that. You know, people have been disappointed in it. And there's some weird, this is a weird cult thing. Like, I just never knew was a thing. Like, people are very big not Caviezel,
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I'm thinking about well, people are his
Jim
Caviezel's fans too, but that's a whole different thing. Cavill, yeah, fans, and they're like, oh, I'm not watching this show. Y'all don't have him for the next season, and I was like, really? That's make or break for you? I never associated him like a guy that was like, oh, I'm watching a show because of him. I
wonder if it's because of him or just like continuity. They're like, this screws with me. I don't like it. That kind of thing.
But they don't say that. The commenters anyway. They're saying like, oh, because he likes the source material, and like now he's
a nerd like us, Dominic.
Yeah, and they said, I'm like, whatever, man. I said I just wanted a good show, man. And from what I heard, like this season wasn't that great, so I'm like, so what's the difference in him being there or not? Right. If that's the case, like it doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's not. He's not the make or break. It's really up to the writers or the showrunners, not so much the actor. I mean, he was good. He was good, but I don't know the reason why he's not staying. I have no idea. It sucks, but I mean, I hope the guy who comes in. I think that is the brother of Thor, who's going to play the part for the next season. I mean, I hope he does well. But it's not. I don't know. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't one of those things where I felt like he was great for the show, but it wasn't to a point where kind of like House of Cards, like with Kevin Spacey. Like you can't just replace him. Like he was the show basically. Like he was the show. So. He would have to be gone, Like, it couldn't be like, oh, this place is going to play his character. It's like, nah, he can't be. Like, this doesn't feel that way. Where it's like, oh, if he ain't Garrot, then nobody can be Garrot. And I'm like, nah, somebody else can be Garrot. Like he's really good. I just hope the next person is good, like him, or either good or better. But there can be another Garrot. Like, that's not the type of character. Man, I feel like that with all those type of like characters like that. Like it can be replaced. They can be replaced. You see the difference, but they can be replaced. Just like with superheroes, I can see them being replaced. Like, superheroes is never just one person. You can say one person's better than another one, but it's never like, oh, it only could be this person. Nah, yeah. I can see it be a different guy or girl. All right, so that's it for what we watched. So I guess we get to what we were playing. So what you been playing?
Just more Zelda, basically. Just still kind of chugging along with that. Not really much to say. I haven't spent too much time with it this week. So, what have you been playing?
All right. So, I started playing Avengers again because it's about to leave the Xbox Game Pass. And so I said, I want to play some of those story missions I haven't played before. So I had finished off the original story of the game. And now I'm going through the Kate Bishop one. I think I'm almost done that one. And I'm trying to run through it because it's going to leave July 31st. So I'm trying to run through this game to finish that out before it leaves the Game Pass, because damn sure I ain't going to buy it. But yeah, because I was like, damn. I said, this is leaving. But you know what? Outriders, I want to say Outriders came on Game Pass first before this eventually came to Game Pass.
Yeah, that sounds
I think
right.
it did.
It was at launch, whereas
Outriders was at launch, exactly, and that's still on Game Pass. And so I don't know. I was wondering, and I was seeing it was on, at least on PlayStation Plus. And I was like, I can just play it on PlayStation Plus if so I just go straight to the story of the other ones and just run through it. But it's not up there. Cause darn. Because I was thinking about Spider-Man too. So I can play Spider-Man, but I was like, it's not free on PlayStation Plus. Maybe it'd be free after it leaves. Maybe it leaves Xbox. Maybe it'd be free up there. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. Seems like that's the way a lot of that stuff's been.
Yeah, if I could finally play Spider-Man without having to pay for the game or something. What else have I played? I played some more Judgment. Like I said, I do like how the whole Phoenix Wrights being kind of stuff with it, like the getting the not the actual court case, but the investigating and stuff. But I also like some of the side missions are pretty cool too. They're pretty funny. They're funny. That's just seems like it is with these Yakuza games. What else? I did a racing. It's a racing with drones in this game, which was okay. So I know it's gonna probably be a nuisance. Like, I don't think I have to do you don't have to do this. This is a side mission. I just playing around with it, and it seemed like it's all right. I mean, if it makes it easy, simple, where I can just upgrade and get faster, then I'll play around with it. I'm trying to think, what else have I done here? I've done some home run derby. I'm trying to figure out what's the strategy of this, because it's not just your timing. You have to move the marker of the ball where the general area where the ball is going to be. So it's like, if it's a curve, they show you where it starts at, but then it curves, and I don't know where, because it don't tell you if it's going to be a curveball or not. So I can't move my stick fast enough and hit the button to swing at the same time. So I need to look up probably a strategy, like how do you do this? Because I generally like doing the home run derbies.
Dominic, hold on a second. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Well, the other game I was playing was Peggle 2. I played against somebody because I saw that was multiplayer, and I was like, is anybody even playing this game? So luckily, it'll search for a game while you just play the regular game. So I just did that, and then it came up saying like, game found match, and I played against this guy, and I won the first game against him, but he won the second two. Then the second two, the next two, and the game we played was just that who gets the highest score when we run out of balls, basically. So, yeah, I had got the first one. You choose your character, so whoever character you have those abilities. Because we both had the robot guy. Then I just kept changing my character, but he kept his. Because I guess he figured that's the best one. He probably played before. But I was just testing it out, and I was saying like, oh, it's fun. It was fun playing against somebody. I was just surprised to find somebody actually playing, especially that time of night whenever I played. I've been doing like those extra like little missions on the Pegos stages, like trying to get a certain score or whatever they ask to do. Like some of them ask like, hey, get 2 long shots in one game. Pego, man, it's one of those games it can get a little addicting. Well, I won't say addictive, but
You just want to keep going to the next level and the next level.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
yeah.
It's just
it's so
just fun
quick and fun.
Yeah, for me, it's like trying to complete those quests because they feel doable, and I want to like, because at first if you just play, it seems like, man, it's score too high, but then you see if you can get some of those pink balls and some long shots, you can get those points up, the multiplier up. I'm also playing some Marvel Snap. I've got a deck I call it Dino Wong, and I have Wong and the dinosaur on my deck. Like the dinosaur is basically my backup, and because I wanted to have Wong. Wong makes it so your own reveal cards play twice. So he's number 4 power. So usually like about the fourth hand. I'll be able to play them, and then the next hand I hope if I have the lady White Tiger with me on my deck, I'll place her because her power is that she's only 1 power, but she places a 7th power tiger somewhere. So then I like to double it. So I double that. It'll be 2 7-power tigers somewhere on the board that can possibly help me. And then if I have Odin, he'll play the released like his reveal is that he'll play reveal cards, even because on reveal cards again, if they're in that same location. So I'll put him on Wong, so it'll be twice more. So it'll be like, hey, he'll make White Tiger play the tiger again, and then it'll be 2 more tigers because there'll be Wong there, and then it'll be twice more. So it'll be a lot more tigers.
Yeah.
So that setup, I usually try to get to that setup. If I can't get that, hopefully I have a lot of cards in my hand, and I can play the dinosaur, and he'll have double power. I mean, whatever power it is based on how many cards are in your hand, like +2 for each card. So hopefully that helps me win. I've been doing all right with that hand. Like I've been doing okay. I haven't. I lose some games, because I went up against a guy who had that special can, and on Conquest, and I beat him one time.
Oh, and
he even put a comment saying like, "Oh, I said, what happened?" But then he came back and won the rest of the hands, because it's this game. Like, don't let anybody tell you, because I'll go Reddit posts and people always just saying that people who say like, oh, they win, or like they know how to, like they say that hand, like that Pacific hand, the evolutionary hand, like they said, yeah, you still have to have some skill with that. Like you still need to know. I had to tell you this game, it doesn't take rocket science. All right, so don't let anybody tell you like, oh, like it's like it's playing chess or some shit, and it's not. Like it's a lot of things are by chance, because the location, based on the locations, it can screw you over or it can help you. Based on what they do, what the properties they are, because they can change your hand. Sometimes you get a location where it says, "Oh, you swap cards on the like the third hand or something like that," and on like turn 3 or something, and like then your whole game changes. And or they tell you, oh, we're gonna reshuffle your cards or something. Like a lot of things are by chance, so it's not about skill. It's about the moment, and that if you like at the moment, sometimes yes, it'd be like, oh, I can do this move, but sometimes that can work to your favor. Because it's all based on what the other guy puts down too. He might do something that messes you up, by chance, like he doesn't know either. And then, like even to get to know each other's hand, like at Conquest, you get to know your partner's hand because you're playing against them multiple times. But that board can just change everything, and sometimes they'll change and say, like, hey, you get random cards. So then it's like it's really by chance. So it's not Yeah, don't make it. I don't take it like, oh, this is like a very skilled, like Magic the Gathering or some shit. No, no, or Yu-Gi-Oh. No, it's not. It's not. It's random. And it's not that hard. So when people say like, oh, just because Evolution is so powerful, you still have to know how to play it. Yeah, but it's not that hard to learn how to play it. So that's why I think it's overpowered. Like it doesn't take a genius to figure out how to win that game. Like I like how some people those people in the comments try to make it seem like it's so much more skillful than you think. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's at the end of the day, it's a free to play game. Free to play game where it's not exactly play to win, but hey, man, like some hands you just can't beat unless you gotta hope something on the board, like a location, benefits you or screws them over, where you can win. I'm trying to remember. I was something else I want to say about Judgment. Man, I forget. But I was having fun with Judgment also. But yeah, so that's it for what we're playing. So I guess we take a quick break. When we get back, get to the flashback segment.
All right.
And we're back. And now we're flashbacking to 1993 because nothing came out really in 10 years or 20 years. So we're going back 30 years, 1993, and we got Royal Rumble came out in Japan for Super Nintendo. Now, this ain't the first release of the game, but because we must have missed it for June, because I don't remember ever speaking it. But Royal Rumble, of course, is WWF at the time.
Yeah.
And you said it got like some people decent reviews, like people did like it, like have memories of it.
Yeah,
or
it
something.
Seems like the kind of retro stuff, the stuff that was around from that time, was like I think 70s or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never really played wrestling games really that much on a Sega or even a Super Nintendo. It wasn't until the N64, even though I did watch wrestling, I just didn't really play the games. I think I tried, maybe there was a Sega Genesis wrestling game I must have tried out or whatever. But yeah, it was nothing really I took seriously. Like I was like, oh, I gotta have this wrestling game. For some reason, I don't know why. I would think at the wrestling, I would like, I want wrestling, but maybe
I feel like there just wasn't anything really good. I mean, people will talk about like the Fire Pro games, but like that's not for the casual like WWF at the time audience.
Oh yeah, nah.
You know.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna mention that arcade game that I brought up to you, WrestleMania, the arcade game. Like that was fun at the time. You know, it very much was similar to like Mortal Kombat, where you had these like digitized scans of these people, and then they had like exaggerated moves. But like outside of that, I can't tell you another game from like that era of consoles that was actually fun or decent. You know.
Yeah, I can't either. It's not until the N64 era, PlayStation era, is when that started happening. Now, what else we got? We got one more game, and Shinobi 3 came out, 1993, and Shinobi is a ninja game, platforming ninja game that's, I think it's known to be pretty tough, comparable to Ninja Gaiden, but it was mostly, it was with Sega. It was the Sega game. Ninja Gaiden was mostly on Nintendo platforms. I don't know, did Ninja Gaiden ever come to Sega Genesis?
I don't know.
So I don't remember. I don't remember it being a Sega Genesis game. I just remember being a Nintendo game, and was there a Super Nintendo Ninja Gaiden?
I just don't remember. Came to the Master System.
Oh, it came to the Master System. Okay. But
which I think I remember playing this game at a friend's house back in the day, because that was the only experience I had with a Master System.
Yeah, I just really remember Ninja Gaiden from Nintendo. But yeah, Shinobi. I never really played Shinobi, so I never really got into it. But people did, who did play it, they did like it, and this is one of the top ones. I think between this one and the Revenge one, people always mention. But yeah, I never really got into it. I didn't really think about Shinobi until PlayStation 2 when they had that with it was the guy with the scarf. Yeah. And so that's the only one I ever thought about, and that was okay. It got okay reviews for that, but it was known for being hard or something, and so I never did touch it because I was found out like it's tough. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those games that people have fond memories of, a classic like Sega games. All right, so that's it for the flashback segment. Very short flashback segment. So now we're just going to take a quick break. When we get back, we get to the gaming news.
All right.
And we're back. So let's get to the gaming news. So what we got, Dan?
All right, Dominic. So we got the announcement of a brand new game coming out this fall. Surprise drop from the people at Game Mill, who you may know as the people behind Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, which actually turned out to be all right. But it seems like maybe this one not off to a good footing. Skull Island Rise of Kong. This is a new King Kong game, third-person action. It's $40, so it is a budget title, but man, you just watch the trailer. It looks like more of a budget title than that price is alluding to.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't look like even a 360 generation game. I mean, it really doesn't, because if Peter Jackson's King Kong was a launch game, then and that looks so much better than this game.
Yeah.
So this is not that, like, yeah. I mean, I don't listen. I mean, if it's like a little indie game or something that was $15, fine. But you talking about $40, man? Yeah, I mean, it's a budget game, but this ain't like, there's been better budget games. Like, this is like too budget.
I mean, the gameplay immediately just gives me mobile game vibes. Like, the first time I saw this, I had to go back and check and see what it was actually releasing on. Because if you told me Switch, I'd still be like, why does it look this bad? But at least I would be like, okay, yeah, they're trying to get away with something here. You know, like some of those mobile games that just release on Switch. But like, yeah, seeing this, it coming on current generation platforms like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, I'm just like wondering who wasted their time doing that. Like who?
Yeah, and then we bought these consoles for those games, for this game, for this type of game. Like, yeah.
It's so wild. I don't know. It's funny too to me because as of late I've been thinking a lot about like the AAA game development space and how it feels kind of untenable, right? Like you spend 6 years working on one game that could potentially end up flopping, and then what happened? Like your studio goes under basically, right? So like as these consoles get more powerful, like what do we need to do to make sure the games don't cost as much or require as many people to work on them or as long to work on them? And like obviously some people might be like, oh well, that's where like AI comes in, it'll make games easier. But no, that'll just allow games to be bigger, because that's what we're always going to do. We're just going to make bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger games. Just like you see in Hollywood, they get bigger and bigger movies, you know, $200-300 million movies, and you're getting the same thing with video games. But at the same time, now I'm like, well, this is the monkey's paw, right? Like I'm like, why can't they make cheaper games? And God, I hope this is a cheap game, Dominic. I hope this did not cost them a lot of money to develop. Like, yeah, I do. I feel bad for like kind of shitting on this game, especially like that Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl game. Like from all reports, it seemed like it was a decent game. It just lacked things like voice acting at launch. So it felt like more of a budget thing, right? But like this just looks like there was no budget whatsoever put to this. Like how many people were working on this game? How long did they have to make this game? Like, what's going on there? That's why I'd like to see like more transparency in video games. Like, what did you spend on a game like this versus like, what are people spending on a game that looks better than this? How much did they spend on Peter Jackson's? I mean, that was a Ubisoft game, so honestly, they probably did put, a substantial amount of money into it, but like, that was still just kind of a movie tie-in game at the end of the day, and it wasn't particularly long, so I wonder if they did kind of make it a budget title,
Yeah.
So.
And then, like, you going back to what you're saying about games being bigger and stuff, and like, how many, like these systems being more powerful? What, like, now I'm thinking like, because it doesn't seem like we're getting the potentiality systems we currently have.
Yeah.
With these games, because even the ones that look really great, they were played on PS4.
Yeah, I mean, you have God of War coming out PS4. You have Horizon coming out PS4,
and even this Spider-Man is coming out. I mean, let's be real. I mean, it looks great, but so did Miles Morales and the Spider-Man, basically remastered for the PS5.
Yeah, and
I can't see the difference. So I'm thinking like Spider-Man 2 could have been a PS4 game.
Yeah. I wonder if, and I have no insight into this whatsoever, but if it's like something like the transition to the PS5 makes making a game like Spider-Man look and play a lot easier. Like you're not having to put as much work in because you're not having to fake the lighting or something like that, right? Where it's like,
yeah.
Okay, this generation makes making video games easier and cheaper because ray tracing is a thing now. You don't have to bake in and fake all the lighting and do all that handwork. It just does it for you. But I don't know if that's true. And if that's true, it would seem like video games would be cheaper to make, right? Except for the fact that then they're going to make them bigger. I don't know. Again, I wish that's why there was like more transparency.
Transparency,
right? So
exactly.
So that we could see kind of that process. I mean, even Hollywood, where there's like more transparency, it still feels like, I don't know, just feels like magic a lot of times.
Yeah, because with Ratchet & Clank coming to the PC, like I showed you, and the way they taught that game was like it was only the power of the PlayStation, and like the SSD.
It is impossible without an SSD
to be seamless. To be seamless to go through place. And now some of the people, they posted, what about Titanfall? It does that. But I mean, it's a different game, so I'm not even going to use that example. But the example I'm going to use is that the PC specs that they say they recommend, they say they recommend SSD, but you can use a hard drive.
Right.
So I'm like, what does that mean? Is it going to load up every time I do it?
Experience is.
Yeah, but but the way it sounds like that's not the case. That it can be played with a hard drive. It's just the other specs is what's make it so, or I don't know. I believe in like, the information I'm getting, I am not getting it right. Like it's not seeming like the power. I mean, the power is there, but it's not. What I'm seeing is like I'm thinking like, are you trying to tell me that this game could have been a PS4 game? It just had to be. You have to just do some work to it, for it can be able to seamlessly go. That it can still be seamless, like that. That it wasn't. SSD just made it easier to do it, but if you would have did it on the PS4, it just would have been harder. Like that's what I want to know. Like, please, because I'm like, is that the case? Then this is what I thought it was. It's like what I thought about these systems was that it's just an upgrade.
Yeah,
it's no different than, I mean, it's just a bigger upgrade from a mid upgrade like we had. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Which is fine, but like, don't fuck with me. Like, don't fuck with. Don't
try
fuck with
and
me
sell
and
it
make me
as
think
revolutionary.
Yeah. don't do that, because like my friend, he still hasn't gotten one of my friends still hasn't gotten a new gen system, and like the reason he just say he's thinking about it is because of, man, some of these games are just being only on the next system, but he's saying like, but I don't see the little difference in them. Like I don't see a game that blows me away graphically, like Gears did for the 360 era. Like even the Xbox One PS4 era, I can't speak of anything on top of my head like at this moment, but I know I did see a game that I was like, man, this looks really good. So far this generation, haven't seen. I see things that blow me away, but then I see that, oh, it can still be played. like on the last, so it's like, oh, it's not that it can't be played on last gen. It's just that they just choose not to put it up there. Maybe with some of these games, or they will, like say the PlayStation case, they are up there. They were on PS4 too, and that looks so much better on PS5, but it still can be played on PS4. So it's like, what is this generation then? Like what? It's like we have come to a point where, which is fine. Like I just don't want you to fuck with me and like say like, oh, like these games are just impossible to be made. Like, no, that's not true. It's just that this is an upgrade. This is basically an upgrade from PS4, like as not in like as a new system where it has to be totally new things. And or you can say, or just tell me that nobody's taking the full potential of the system. Tell me that then. Like, which one is it?
So I can then ask why the first parties aren't doing that.
Yeah. So like, which is it? Which is not taking the using the system to its full potential? Like, why aren't you? I mean, like, why aren't you using it? Or if that's the case, or
it's
people
the Xbox's fault, Dominic. That's why. It's all the Xbox's fault.
Yeah, but I almost feel like that's graphical stuff. That's graphical.
Oh, 100%.
Or like running. Yeah, well, no, they'll make it run because they just bring down the graphics because they had to bring it. Yeah, so that doesn't change the game really though.
Yeah, so that's my thing, right? Is like, yeah, if we're not gonna see that like large jump in graphical fidelity, like they should be taking advantage of the power of these systems to develop like gameplay in a different way, because and that's the disappointing thing, right? Is like that's what they tried to sell you with Ratchet and Clank. Meanwhile, here we are, having it proven that, it could have ran on a PC the entire time. And I don't know how much work it's going to take extra to do that. That's, not for me to have to figure out. But it kind of sucks now living with these consoles and coming from the previous generation where it's like, okay, these guys are actually kind of finally using a more standard architecture. We're like basically just got PCs in a box right now, right? Because they're using like basically just Intel chips or whatever, or NVIDIA chips, and AMD chips rather. So it's like, why couldn't we be in a state where kind of Xbox is, where it's like, okay, these new generation games are designed with these new consoles in mind, but I can play them toned down on one of my previous Xboxes, whether it be a Pro or or even a base Xbox or an Xbox Series X, because you kind of have like almost 4 tiers of Xboxes at this point. And you see that a little more with the Xbox, but you don't see that with the PlayStation at all, because they were like, oh, well, we're doing very distinct generations, and then cut to them going, oh, but also these games that are on our new consoles are also coming out to our old consoles. Yeah. So like then that gives them the scapegoat of like, oh, well, it would have looked better if we hadn't also had to develop for this previous console. And it's like, all right, now you're trying to like have your cake and eat it too, right? Because you're like trying to make those sales off of the old consoles, because especially like during the pandemic, like at the height of it, you couldn't produce enough PS5s to sell all of them. So you still want to sell the game, but you're also trying to like sell the new console by saying it's a better experience, when the reality is like, Yeah, but marginally so, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not that big a deal.
Yeah, the experience is that okay, the loads are faster and it looks better, but it's not really changing your experience. Really, I mean, it's that like it's not to the point where, oh my god, the graphics are so shitty I can't even see what the hell's going on.
Because the reality is, like, also while all this is happening, you're also kind of looking at like the pushback on that, because there are so many Switches that were sold and people who were enjoying Tears of the Kingdom, myself being one of them. That game slows down to what in most games would be an unplayable state. But because it does it at the right times, basically like when you're trying to build stuff, it's not quite as noticeable, or it's not as like disturbing. You know, it doesn't mess up your game. So like you live with it, or like,
yeah.
And the success
being a
of the
great game
Steam
too.
Deck.
Being a great game helps.
It definitely does help. Yeah.
I mean, it helps. I mean, that's like with the Bethesda games. People can talk about Bethesda all they want about their bugs
janky
and shit.
Bugginess, yeah.
But those games, they keep selling, and they still, people look past it. Most people look past it because of how good the game is. That's why they can get past that stuff. And like, I mean, people. It's funny how people talk about those games in the past and like, why do people keep up with this? But they always come up with buggy messes. But it's like somebody said, all those games were like nons too. So
it's because those reviewers let them get away with it, Dominic.
Yeah, buggy mess or not is not. It is still a great game. I mean, because you can get past that, and then like with Zelda, it's not just the game is just great, but it's also got some features in there that's different from any other game. That's different from other games, or they put in features that were in other games, but it's all in this package. So it's used differently. And you don't really see that with a lot of games now, like the so-called new games, like the big AAA games that's on these powerful consoles. They're mostly just games. Hey, we played them before on last gen. It just looked better. Or it runs better. It's not a big difference. And like I said, fine, that's fine. But it's just that then why even get more powerful? Like, I don't need this generation can stay until we really need to get some better graphics. Because it seems like the games that are not the first party games, they just look like PS4 and Xbox One games.
Give them some time to catch up.
Like, they don't look like if you would have told me that, oh, this is playing on the Xbox One, I would be like, oh, I will believe you.
Yep.
All right, so what's the next news we got?
All right, next up, Dominic, Overwatch 2 is coming to Steam, no longer locked into the Blizzard launcher, Battle.net.
Oh, yeah, that is big.
Yeah, and that's happening before, Microsoft is like, hey, you got to do this. So that's an interesting thing there. Why is Activision choosing to do that?
Make the other stuff free, though.
Well, now you're pushing it.
I hope Microsoft say, like, hey, if you got Game Pass, you can play that story stuff in Overwatch 2 free. But I don't think it's going to be that.
No, you don't think so?
No, I think they're going to make you... What you're going to get free is you get a costume that says at Game Pass or something. You'll get the spray. You get a spray that says like Xbox and Game Pass.
PC Game Pass. Yeah.
Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you would not be able to use that spray in the Overwatch League because it sounds like that thing is very close to shutting down. It was hit with like 50-person layoff. And I mean, I wonder what Microsoft's stance on that. Like, obviously, we'll get to the news of the deal, but like with that not having closed, like this is an Activision choice, it's not coming from Microsoft, but I wonder like what Microsoft would have done differently. Would they have continued to support the Overwatch League, or are they kind of just as over it from a business sense as Activision seems to be?
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, because it was all right when it first happened, even though the rules made no sense to me. Because it didn't make sense that you would do a patch and the patch would happen during a season.
Yeah.
I was like, that kind of changes the game.
Right.
You're literally changing rules and the way you play during a season. I said that don't make any sense. That's what stopped being like sports. Like sports to me, it's like, oh, okay, this is different. You can't compare it to like other sports now because people don't change rules. They wait till the off season to do that.
Yeah, that was a weird choice. All right, it's some other news, Dominic. Kind of another Activision related thing. Call of Duty. A lot of the older games, like the original Modern Warfare and Cold War and stuff like that, got a server fix. So they were kind of a buggy mess at one point and basically unplayable from a multiplayer standpoint. And it seems like some stuff has got tweaked on the back end, and now those games are up and alive.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like there's still some modding stuff going on. So, hackers are still running rampant, but hey, now you can at least find a hacked game.
I wanted, if that's like people were saying, like, oh, because they're getting ready, they closing the deal, so they're just getting the servers up for like already.
Put it on Game Pass. I've heard some speculation of like putting them on a package on the Switch or something because Microsoft did that deal with Nintendo too, saying that they would bring Call of Duty, and maybe they didn't say which Call of Duty.
That's good. How about Call of Duty 2? Was that server up?
I don't know about that one, but might be worth checking out, Dominic. Might be time to go back. So yeah, that's kind of interesting that we're seeing some work to actually revitalize some of these old games. It's kind of weird, like seeing a lot of this news about like Activision and Blizzard related stuff when this deal did not go through. All right. Next up, Dominic, there was a new trailer for Spider-Man 2, kind of a story trailer showing off what's going on there. It does seemingly allude to the fact that I want to say James Franco, Dominic, but his name is not James Franco. What is Harry Osborn?
Oh, yeah.
Harry Osborn is, in fact, Venom.
Don't taint that man's name with
James Franco. I don't want to do that. But it seems like...
That's before he was evil, though. That's before Franco was evil.
Of course, yeah. Just stealing Peter's girlfriend, that's all.
Yeah.
So I found it kind of interesting, like, from the ending of that first game, and I don't know if there's something additional that happens in Miles Morales, but like from the ending of that first game, it very much felt like it was pointing at the fact that this was going to be like a Harry Osborn Venom, because he was in the tube or whatever, and his dad was trying to find some kind of cure for him. And I saw a lot of stuff on like the Spider-Man Reddit. I got pointed at it from like Twitter or something, where it's like all these people like, no, we don't know that yet. We don't, it's not going to be Harry as Venom. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like,
me too. I thought it was too.
Yeah, it feels like 100%.
If he's not Venom, then he's something.
Yeah, he's originator of the symbiote.
I assume Venom too.
Yeah,
he's Scorpion. No, there's already a Scorpion. Damn.
There's already a Scorpion.
No,
he's the Hobgoblin.
Yeah, he's the Hob. Yep, that's right.
He's supposed to be.
Oh, the Green Goblin. Well, there's no Green Goblin.
That's true. Yeah, there's some. That's kind of
he was technically the Green Goblin. I mean, like after his father. That's the green stuff. That was the green stuff. In the tube, Daniel.
So yeah, there's a new trailer that shows off Venom as a nice look at him, some more about Craven, kind of, and just showing the story. Peter's definitely struggling to make payments on Aunt May's house, and Miles is struggling to become Spider-Man, and they're kind of.
I ain't liking his hairdo, man. Get that fade back there. Get the fade back
on. So alongside that, they also announced that they're coming out with a Spider-Man 2 themed PS5. And the nice thing about this is you will be able to purchase the side plates independently of the console itself. So if you want the look of this console, but you've already got a PS5, you can just swap those things out, which is very smart because like you give people the option to swap those side plates out. Like, yeah, don't make me buy a whole new console for that shit. And then there's also a controller. Basically, the idea is there's kind of like a red and white Spider-Man symbol, red on the outside, white Spider-Man symbol with like black venomous tendrils, kind of encroaching upon that space. So both things are kind of more predominantly black than they are like red and blue or anything like that. So
yeah,
I think it
cool.
looks all right. Yeah,
I think it looks cool. I mean, the console, so like the plates stuff. Yeah, that looks really nice.
Yeah. So that's going to be available on September 1st. And then you can pre-order like at some point in this coming week or something like that, the end of July. So yeah, that's all right. And that's going to be a disc console. Obviously the plates, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if the plates come in both the digital and the disc version. I think I saw 2 boxes, so that might explain why. But the console that you purchase is the disc one. All right, Dominic, now we're getting into it. The Xbox, Activision, Sony, all that nonsense news. Following the trial from the FTC and Microsoft, following Microsoft's victory there, Sony has bent the knee, Dominic. They have signed a deal with Microsoft for Call of Duty for 10 years. And the details I've seen come out of this are that it is for Call of Duty. So there's no guarantee that you're going to see Crash Bandicoot or Tony Hawk or any of those games come out on the PlayStation.
Or the Blizzard games.
Or Diablo or, obviously Diablo's already out, but, in the future, yeah, any of those.
Take it away. Take it away from me.
Which apparently, from what I've read, is included in like the Nintendo deal. So that's kind of interesting to me. I don't know that you go to the work of making a Nintendo version of these games and not make a Sony version of these games if you're going to do that.
Be petty and do that.
I was going to say, but you might want to be petty. The thing I've been thinking about though lately, Dominic, is what Microsoft is basically going to be an extremely large publisher, from this point on, once they get a hold of Activision officially. What are the chances that like the Xbox isn't selling, right? So like, why stay in the hardware game when you don't have to? And they can just, sell their games.
That's what I'm saying. I think this could be this could be the last tier of the hardware, and they just become a service after this, because once they, whatever deal they fucking got with Samsung and for to get the goddamn app on fucking Roku and everywhere else, so they just be a service thing. Like, hey, you have the Xbox service. They'll have a box for you if you like say, hey, we can. They might do that, like a streaming box, right? They're either streaming box or they're part with some type of PC thing and do like like Alienware do, just in case if you wanted, hey, you want to play these games at something and
you want a pre-built, just the PC. But
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I gotcha.
It's something to play these games. At least to have some graphical power or something. Or they'll team up with somebody else who does that, especially with the handheld stuff, and maybe they'll say, "Hey, man, we'll team up with the next Steam handheld or whatever thing, and we'll have our app up there, and you just play the games. You can play the games up there through the hardware or streaming. Maybe they'll probably just turn to that, which is fine. I mean,
it feels like, Microsoft has never been like a PC company. Like, obviously they offer the service, the Surface now, but like they've always been about Windows and the software.
Yeah.
So
they're software.
I wonder what that looks like in a world where they're like, oh yeah, we've got all the studios now. We're producing the software. We're selling people on Game Pass. Maybe we don't have an Xbox anymore. Maybe Xbox is the brand and you can get Game Pass on Sony. I don't know what kind of deal that ends up being. Like, hey, maybe they're like, if we're getting out of the hardware game, like, are you willing to put Game Pass on the PlayStation or something like that, and we'll make all of our properties available, and then you can stream to your TV, you can stream to a Roku stick, you can still play on the PC like you would, you can play or stream or what have you on the successor to the Switch, the Nintendo console. And like they just become ubiquitous across the gaming. I wonder if that makes sense to them, or if they're like, no, we invested all this money.
Within. That's
exactly.
Like a virus.
Yeah.
Like they
or if they're like, no, we spent all this money, we got to sell this hardware. Like, I just don't know if the profit is in the hardware for them or not to make it make sense. At the same time, it's like if you're like the US government and you're like trying to regulate stuff, like, if that were to happen, doesn't Sony then just become a monopoly for the home console? I mean,
exactly.
You have Nintendo, but like if they're still on kind of different power tiers.
Microsoft has to be that. They have to be the hard, because the U.S. said we got to have an American company at hardware. I mean, because
that's kind of what I'm alluding to. Like, do they
Atari
let them?
Atari failed us.
Let them do
in the past.
Oh no, not Atari. Atari's still out there, Dominic. They're gonna bring it back one day.
Yeah, they let it. The 90s. The 90s were bad for the U.S. as far as the console market. But then Microsoft, they brought us back in. They got us back in.
Where was 3DO based out of? Can we get them back?
Panasonic.
Oh yeah. I guess not American then. All right, Dominic. So related to all that, Microsoft and Activision, they, we talked about how everything was supposed to be finalized by July 18th. That has come and gone. They have pushed out that date now and agreed to push the deadline until October 18th. So every podcast between now and then will continue to be talking about something related to this.
There's going to be something where Sony say, like, you know what? We don't want this. We tear up the deal. We still want you out of here from this acquisition.
Yep.
I saw that, like, they pushed the deadline. I was just hoping, like, please be August. And I was like, no, goddamn October 18th. I was like, well, just put the goddamn games on Game Pass anyway. Shit.
Exactly.
It's like, goddamn.
Make those deals. Come on, Bobby Kotick.
I know. Shit.
Yeah. So seems like Diablo 4 is going to be a little while before you get it on there, but by the end of October, Dominic.
For some reason, I never just thought that would be right up there, but now I want it now because you push it back.
I mean, by October, you got to make that like first week introduction. So, all right, and then one final story here, Dominic. It feels like this has been in the making for a very long time now. But Xbox Live Gold is going away in its original form. It is now being called Game Pass Core. So that is going to allow you access to multiplayer and whatnot, as you did with Xbox Live. But you're kind of losing games for gold here. So you're no longer going to be doing the free game download each month.
No, we can't get no more sucky games.
Well, that's the thing is like, it feels like I'm not losing anything here. Cause honestly, like,
I think we got them all.
I have a reminder on my phone to like download these games because nothing's actually drawing me to download the games. And half the time I still don't even download the games.
I think I end up downloading them.
I mean, as long as you do, as long as somebody does, but like, geez, man, it's been rough going. And we've talked about it basically since Game Pass launched, that it feels like Games for Gold was the sacrificial lamb for that. Like, now that you have all these big first party games and a lot of big third party games showing up on Game Pass eventually, that doesn't give you the same kind of choices to throw on Games for Gold and kind of pop people with those. So yeah, that sucks in a way, but like the pivot that they're doing here by making it a Game Pass, thing, they are actually giving you a catalog of games. Now it's far smaller than what they offer from Game Pass Ultimate and Game Pass for console and Game Pass for PC because, despite what we say about like PlayStation's tiering list, like Microsoft is just smart in that like nobody really wants just Game Pass for PC or Game Pass for console. It's usually like, okay, I want Game Pass Ultimate or I don't want Game Pass. And I'm sure there are plenty of people that get Game Pass for console or whatever. I don't want to, but anyway. So with this Game Pass for Core or Game Pass Core, they're still going to give you some free games. So there's the catalog. It's going to include Among Us, Descenders, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, Fable, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Grounded, Halo 5, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade, Humans Fall Flat.
Oh, 76 I'm confused about because I thought that was a free to play now.
Honestly, I'm not totally sure. Is it one of those things where it's not quite and it's like, because like Elder Scrolls Online is also on this list. So like Elder Scrolls Online, isn't that like you have free trials, but it's not necessarily free?
Oh, okay.
So it might be one of those things where like you might be able to get a free trial of Fallout 76, but if you actually want to play the game, you have to, spend the not $60. I would imagine it costs anymore. So let's see what happens if I click buy it now on standard edition on
don't give me that whatchamacallit free.
Steam. What's that?
Yeah, it says now Fallout 76 is free. Players are loving it.
Really?
That was January 2023. Gaming Bible. I don't trust that one. All right, let's look for a real.
Because if I go to Steam right now, it's $40 to buy Fallout.
Yeah,
76.
that's got to be something. Yeah, I don't know what the hell Bob was talking about. Maybe it's just one section that's free. Like what's free?
Maybe they unlocked like the last DLC or something. I feel like I remember.
Oh no,
that.
here it is. January's free essential tier PS Plus games. That's what it was.
Oh, that's what it did come to PlayStation Plus, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And of course it's been on Game Pass.
So it's $40. And then you have to pay some more money just to play for it to be private.
Oh, that was a thing, wasn't it? Because that's part of the subscription service, right?
Yeah, because I had to pay for that because when I tried it on
$13
Xbox.
a month on Steam.
Ugh, God damn, gross. $14 a month. Are you fucking gross. Serious? I mean, don't give me a server. Just make it so. Can you just make it?
Just let
make
me
it so I can just be home.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, do it. Man, damn.
That is a game that should be so much better than it is, or like should be looked at in a much better light than it is, because like that game is probably pretty cool.
Yeah.
But like they made so many choices of just like making it the worst it could possibly be.
But hey, man, they got people playing it. I mean, people. Yeah. I mean, no, I'm saying I think it's good now. I think now, like, well, is for the last few years, it's been pretty good. And like I said, I do want the single. I just want the single player. I mean, I'm glad that they give you the option though. I'm glad they give you the option. But it's still with servers technically. But it's just a private. I just want to
engage with that game the way I want to engage with it, right?
Yeah, like I engage with the other games.
People.
Yeah, like with the other games, basically.
Exactly. So, yeah, but to loop back on this, like that's a pretty solid list of first party games. And as kind of like a bonus for paying for multiplayer, that's all right. Now, I think the weird part is when you get into like the pricing of this versus like Game Pass for console, because if you're looking at just Game Pass for console, I think that's $11 right now, whereas this is $9.99 a month. So like for those $2 more, it might be worth it to the majority of people to just get Game Pass for consoles, get all of the games day one and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
So, because they changed that, because I remember at a point, Game Pass and Xbox Live were different. Like, I wasn't able to play Xbox Live games for Go if I just had Game Pass.
Right.
When I first started. That's different now, right? So now
because it's basically they're rebranding. You know?
Okay. So
but
Game Pass, so Game Pass, you're getting, so all the tiers you're getting what Xbox Live Gold was.
See, actually,
basically.
yeah. Now that you say that, though, I wonder if they're still going to segment that out. So would I need to pay for Game Pass Core and also Game Pass for console? Because you're right. I mean, as of right now, and we're recording this, and this isn't active yet. It's not active until September 14th. But like the list of perks, I guess you would say, on Game Pass for consoles is mainly the Game Pass stuff. It doesn't say anything about multiplayer. So yeah, I wonder if that gets lumped in with that now, or if you have to. That wouldn't make any sense. So it's got to be. Let me see if I can find some
I think it's
clarification on that.
multiplayer is there. I'm just saying, like, I couldn't play like Xbox Live games for gold, like those games I had for free.
Gotcha. I mean, I just kind of lumped those two together in my head, I guess. So you could, okay.
Could I? Play
I would hope because they're getting.
I assume. I didn't try
because
that.
they're going away from it. I would have
try
to say
that.
They would hope so.
Yeah. I mean, I think now it would be, but I'm saying when they first did Game Pass, when it was just console, I remember looking that up, and I remember it was not like I was looking to see. Oh, I would just buy Game Pass and don't pay for Xbox Gold,
Right.
But you couldn't do that. I mean, you could buy Game Pass, but you wouldn't have some of the features that Xbox Live Gold gave you. Which I knew I couldn't play the game. I couldn't play the games that I had on Xbox Live Gold unless they were already on Game Pass.
Oh, right, because Ultimate Game Pass does include an Xbox Live subscription.
Yes.
That's what it was. Okay.
It wasn't really an Xbox Live subscription. It was just a Game Pass subscription.
See, I wonder if there's got to have been some clarification on that.
Yes, it's confusing now. Now it's getting the confusing point. Damn.
In fact, hey, here's the title of Pure Xbox's article. Xbox new Game Pass tiers are causing confusion around online multiplayer. So let's see what Pure Xbox has to say about this after I agree to not take any of their cookies. Let's see. It is pretty simple, but the new problem relates to Xbox Game Pass for console. As of September, Xbox Game Pass Core will be the cheapest version of Game Pass at $9.99, blah, blah, blah. Xbox Game Pass for console is more expensive, $10.99 per month, and although you get a bigger library, it does not include online multiplayer.
Okay, all right.
Here's a proper look at game tiers. Man, that's kind of shitty. Like, I don't understand the move away from Xbox Live then, because like Xbox Live, whether it be gold or what have you, is a very clear branding of this is what you need to be online. And you can say like, okay, Game Pass Ultimate, or at least you should say, okay, Game Pass Ultimate gets you Game Pass for consoles, PCs, what have you, but it also gives you Xbox Live to get online on your console, because obviously you don't play for multiplayer on the PC, because why would you have to pay it anywhere? Which only makes it worse, right? Like, just go back to making online multiplayer free again. But so in that case, it doesn't make any sense for someone who doesn't just want to play games, but also wants online multiplayer to have Game Pass for consoles, because then you would be paying effectively over $20 for the privilege of online with Core, and then the console. You would just buy Ultimate, which is $16.99. That, oh no, Dominic, they just PlayStationed this. They really did. They PlayStationed it.
Yep.
Oh my God, why? Like,
that's
the Game Pass branding,
that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for them just to say that, oh, Game Pass has Xbox Live Gold. you can play multiplayer now.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. So that's why I was like, oh, so maybe that's why I waited for this podcast. I was like, maybe Daniel will explain this because it doesn't make any sense.
It's
Ew. Like they essentially just making it that you getting Ultimate or you're getting Xbox Live.
Right.
Yo, did it still have silver? I know silver's gone. I was just joking.
I want silver. Let me get my credit card, my little membership card back. Flash that at the Baskin Robbins. Give me a free ice cream. Come on. Oh man, that is. Yeah, at that point, like, just.
That's why I thought they were getting rid of it. I thought they was getting rid of Game Pass.
Yeah.
And just making it live or Ultimate.
Because
but PC Game Pass was still there. Like PC Game Pass was still there, and they were just making there wasn't gonna be a Game Pass. It was gonna be Xbox Live, and Xbox Live was just gonna be Game Pass, but with Xbox Live. That's what I thought. And that's why, but when I saw it was still Game Pass still there, I was like, wait a minute, what does this mean then? And now you're telling me that that's still the same thing. It's just no multiplayer.
Yeah, that's.
It's the same thing. Where it didn't have multiplayer. It never had multiplayer. I guess
it's good to give people the option, right? Like, that's. If I was more thrifty, like that would probably be what if I didn't have a PC, that would probably be what I lean towards, right? Is like $10.99 for just all the Game Pass games, because I don't really care for multiplayer stuff too much.
Yeah.
But
I feel like you should just throw that in.
It just, it feels like they've confused it too much now. And it's not like, when you look at it, it's not as confusing outside of just like the business reasons. It feels like kind of silly, which is why like now I'm comparing it to the PlayStation thing, because like when you break it down and you're looking at a chart of it, like the PlayStation stuff isn't that complicated, but it's silly. It's silly how like convoluted it feels. And Microsoft is very much stepping in that now with this rebrand. Like,
I think that they definitely is. They definitely are.
Oh,
like I felt like they should just combine. Well, what I thought was going to happen was that they just combine Game Pass, Xbox Live Gold for that. That would just be one tier.
Yeah,
and then the other. It's not even a tier. It's just that's the option if you just have a console, and then the Game Pass PC if you just have a PC. And then Ultimate if you have both.
Exactly.
And you want cloud streaming.
Yeah. That's what it feels like it should be. But man, they stepped in it with this one, Dom. See what happens? You lose Major Nelson and then you just make poor decisions. Bring Major Nelson back. I don't care if he wants to be there or not. He needs to make things better. Jeez. You know what? I'm very glad I made this the last story, because like this is definitely the one that's got us talking the most. Like,
yeah.
Oh. This is so silly. They're making me feel the way I was feeling at the beginning of the year about Microsoft, Dominic. I've got some choice words for Phil Spencer now. Like, who is making these decisions? Like, one, just the fact that we're still charging for one line. Like, and I get it. You know, PlayStation is, so it's not just Microsoft's problem.
Well, they charging after Microsoft. It was already charging.
Which, that's just like, they saw Microsoft got away with charging, and it's like now everybody's like, well, we can get away with charging, so we're going to continue to do that. But meanwhile, PC's like, oh yeah, we don't charge for online. And like the increasing amount of Xbox being in like the PC landscape is why it feels like so humorous, especially because like at one point Xbox Live did something that none of these other services did. And it felt like that's the reason you pay for it, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's got these chats, it's got the headsets. It's got like an actual community around it, and that is not only been stripped away from the PC, but has also found its way into PC a lot more cleanly, and obviously like PlayStation as well. But I feel like, the heyday for online multiplayer and like chatting and being a community was probably the Xbox 360 era. It was still a novelty, so like a lot more people use the microphone. And now it feels like, oh yeah, nobody uses a mic on online games anymore because they're either like in a chat with their friends or they just don't want to be harassed on the internet by strangers. So like we've learned our lesson, right? Like Xbox 360, it was like, oh, I'll put up with being called a racial slur because like this is still novel, right? Like there's part of that where it's like the Xbox One generation, it's like, no, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. Like, it's ridiculous. Why would I listen to these 5-year-olds, say whatever to me? And now on the PC, like you have Discord and you have all that stuff. So it's like, what are we paying for on the Xbox anymore? Or I mean, in general, between the consoles, but like Xbox Live is no longer a special feature that I feel like I need to pay for. Why are we still paying for it? Why is that an independent subscription thing?
Yeah, it's
I don't know. I have so many conflicting thoughts now. Like, I'm glad this could play out live on this podcast recording, because like I came into this like relatively positive, like, oh yeah, you get rid of games for gold. Like they've been sucking anyway. Like that sucks, because at a certain point I thought that was like a really cool added bonus. Like, especially for someone like me where I'm not even really utilizing the multiplayer aspect of it, which is why like Game Pass is like, oh yeah, like that's something I can actually utilize a lot more. Like I'm willing to pay for that. But, you give me these free games here and there. Like sometimes it's a cool indie thing that I might not have tried otherwise. Sometimes it's a AAA game that I hadn't gotten around to, but, maybe one day. And now it's like, oh yeah, all these like pretty big games, pretty cool games. I mean, even indie games like Inside are on there. You have your Gears 5, you have your Forza. It kind of checks off all the categories and genres. But then to like be like, oh yeah, you get that, but like if you then want Game Pass, you just got to jump up to the $16 and you got to pay for Game Pass Ultimate, because like if you just want Game Pass, that's a whole different thing. And I don't know, like I'm starting to get there and kind of rationalize a little more, because like, yeah, again, the reason you do so many tiers is to give people options if they don't want to pay, $10 for online, because they're not going to play online and they want the bigger library, then they can go for Game Pass.
And then I guess paying for the core gives it like the taste of Game Pass.
Yeah, it gives you some extra games because you're not getting a new game every month, but that's a decent list of things you're not going to necessarily wipe through in the first month. And I would imagine they're going to probably cycle stuff out. Okay, it even says Xbox will add new titles to the core catalog 2 to 3 times a year. And I would imagine they're probably not just going to add stuff. They'll probably take some off, add some new things, especially when you see things like, Inside on there, where it's like not a first party game necessarily. So like, I guess I'm at a point where I'm not as mad about it, but I'm more angry about just like the confusion that this causes and the like kind of falling down to the PlayStation level of it that it is. Whereas like you could have just made it easier. You could have also just like not charge people for online anymore, because really what extra are we paying for?
Yeah, because calling a Game Pass core, like these people on Reddit, like a lot of them, well, there are some people like you and me with the name, while there's other people just saying like it's just nothing's really changed, and like they saying like if you don't understand it now, then something's wrong with you. And I'm like, okay, people like that. I hate people like that because it's like, dude, it's because you're in this space and everything. You get it. So you understand it, but for you. Also, you're in this space too much because you're in a bubble to not understand why people would be confused. Like, why change their name to Core? Core implies that you think this is the most basic. You would think this would be the one that doesn't have online.
Right.
And then Core is the lowest tier. Then you go up to Game Pass. So now. Because you named it Game Pass. Because the thing is, you had it separate. Xbox Live was technically could be looked at as a separate entity.
Exactly. It was a
now
separate
you're
brand.
calling it Game
made
Pass,
sense.
but you're calling it Game Pass Core. And just like somebody's trying to explain to these people, these assholes, basically, that you calling it Game Pass Core implies like, oh, this is the most basic of Game Pass. Why the hell would that be the one that has multiplayer and the one in the middle don't?
Exactly.
It's just a name change. Well, not everybody even knows. Okay, when people change names, not everybody knows what was there before unless you were already looking at it. If you're a new person to it, or you're just coming through, or you've been on PlayStation. Like, I didn't know everything about PlayStation's thing. Even though I have a PlayStation, I never looked it up about the tiers. And when I finally started looking at them, well, yeah, because I never had PlayStation, not Plus, the, what was it Now? I never had PlayStation Now, so I never knew what the hell, the tiers were for there. Because it wasn't just one tier for that. It was multiple tiers for that also. And then when I just started looking at it, I was confused as shit. Like, what the hell? I was like, well, so what can I do? I said, what's the one where I can just stream games? And then I realized which one I had to get. But so just like this, not everybody reads on these tiers if they're not part of the ecosystem. So like them going to it, it will be confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this. Somebody said this. Nobody's really supposed to buy a Game Pass console. It's just there to make a starting at price lower. What the fuck? Shut up.
I mean, I get that because like it's one of those things like where like, okay, the price difference between core and console and ultimate is like relatively small. So it's kind of like, oh, if I just spend $2 more, I can get this. But like at the end of the day, there's such like a wide gap between, okay. So like, it's like I originally said, right? Like if I have to buy core and I have to buy console, then I might as well buy ultimate, right? So I guess that's the way they're looking at it is like, oh, we'll push more people towards ultimate because they'll just be like, oh yeah, I want multiplayer, but also I want the catalog of games. So I'm not going to pay $20. I'm going to pay $16 and it's a deal. So like maybe that's the idea behind it. But again, it just feels like you could still do that with two different brandings, and the Xbox Live branding being the multiplayer branding and the Game Pass branding being the catalog of games branding makes that clear and distinct. Whereas getting rid of the Xbox branding, the Xbox Live branding, and then trying to like substitute that with the Game Pass branding only makes it more confusing.
Yeah, it's just that's the thing. It's just dumb. Because that's why I thought they were taking away Game Pass. They were taking away the basic Game Pass.
Yeah.
Or to be there. But there are people up here who say that they do just get Game Pass because they don't play multiplayer. So they don't care about that. And that's fine. But call it Game Pass Core and then that is dumb. It's a dumb name. It's a dumb way to call it. It should be the vice versa then. But then, like, you got less game. I just feel like, yeah, that whole tier of like, oh, it's on you can play on live and online, and you have online multiplayer. But if I want to have all the games, I have to get Ultimate and to be multiplayer. That I want all the games, which that I don't know, because I think there should still be a console version where you can be online.
Yeah.
Like, there should be a console version where you can have the whole catalog of console games and it's online without you having to get Ultimate, where you have everything, but you like, I don't have a PC.
Yeah. I don't have a PC. I'm not going to stream anything. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So now I need an extra tier. Yeah, it's Microsoft really feels like they shot themselves in the foot with this one.
Yeah, we're not calling these guys up here, Daniel.
Yes, to
they
them,
feel like
it's
pretty
clear.
Self-explanatory, and you should never want the Game Pass anyway.
I mean,
so what they're doing is okay.
I guess,
man. See, this is why. Everybody's stupid.
This
All
is
right, I guess we
internet,
get the new releases.
Yep. Let's roll into new releases here, Dominic. We have a couple. We have, first up, Pokemon Sleep. This isn't really a game. It's an app. It's on iOS and
it's
Android.
finally out? God damn.
Yep.
I thought this shit been out.
Now you can have the Snorlax watch you as you sleep.
Is it free?
I believe it is. Yeah. It just costs you your soul, Dominic, that's all. Probably. It's going to tell me I have sleep apnea. That's all I need. It's a Pokemon to break that news to me, Dominic. All right. After that, we've got Viewfinder. This game looks really cool. It's like a kind of a puzzle game in the vein of like a Witness, where it's a first person like view based thing. And it's basically like you're able to take photographs with your camera, and then as you hold up the photograph, that becomes like the reality that you see. So you can take like the side of a building and like turn the photograph, and then it becomes a ramp for you to get to a distant thing.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it really plays with perspective.
And it's made by the company who made the viewfinders.
Yes, yes. So at any time you take a picture, you have to pull down the little orange handle.
Yeah.
Yes. No, unfortunately, they might get sued because of that. Now, Dominic, don't point that out. So, yeah, that game looks really cool. And then we have Pikmin 4, Dominic. It is out now for the Nintendo Switch. I think I've mentioned it previously, but there is a demo out of that game. From what I've heard, it's a pretty substantial chunk of the beginning of that game, too, like 2 hours or something like that. So, if you are on the fence about whether you want Pikmin, you can give that a try. And also, you can just beat that tutorialization area, and that way you can just pick up and get started with that game once you're ready to buy it.
Yeah, because I never played a Pikmin game, so I'll try that. It's a demo, you said out there, right?
Yep.
That's what you're saying is a big chunk of game. I was wondering.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I hope it's a big chunk. I hope it's a whole chunk. I was like, it's not the whole
if
game.
I'm paying for this, I want the whole game.
Yeah.
Nope, just get a chunk of it, Dominic. It's Nintendo's new strategy. So, those are our new releases for this week. Dominic, you got anything else for the people?
Man, I'm good.
All right. Thank you guys always for listening. You can check us out on Twitter. Dominic is at DStallworth5. I'm at Regulus MB. Podcast is at Supapod, SUPAPOD. Supapod.com is the website. You can check us out there. It has links to all the places you can find us, including YouTube, where there's a video version of this podcast, as well as iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all those other places. And until next time, guys, talk to you later.
All right, see you.